All right. It's 6 p.m. It is Monday, and we have to prep for some Dungeons and Dragons. We have a game tonight at 9, and it is going to be a very important game. It might be the most important game that we've run for this whole campaign. We're on like 56 sessions. This will be like 57, something crazy like that. I can't keep track. We're in the mid 50s, I think. And this is going to be a very important game. So, oh man, um, I got a real heavy heart thinking about this and dealing with this. But if you follow the game, the actual play of the game, and not just the prep of the game, last week did not go at all how it was planned. It was I think it was described by some people as hard to watch, and as by other people it was described as a shit show. It was real bad. It was real bad. One of the players asked me if I would be making some sort of like statement to append to the end of the stream, so like when we threw the VOD up, people watching the video would at least know at the end that our group hadn't split up, and that we were still going to continue the campaign. That's how bad everybody felt at the end of the session. It was a train wreck. It was a train wreck. I myself was angry. I was definitely angry, and I was frustrated. And like I normally try to do when things don't go right, because I mean that's generally life. Is things don't go well, things don't go the way you plan for them to go. If you're living your life constantly optimistically waiting for everything to go exactly as planned, you will be very disappointed. If you let setbacks crush you, you're never gonna improve. Similar to how the adventurers, uh, similar to how the adventurers in the game have to overcome hardships to become stronger. That's, I mean, without being too mushy. You have to be willing to do that in whatever it is you're doing. So we had a bad session. It was bad. I was going to prep the rest of Scorpion Island. I was going to do the game show shit, but I really need to make sure that mentally I'm where I need to be at, emotionally I'm where I need to be at, and that I also have some notes to kind of go off of to make sure that the players are kind of guided in the right direction. So, I think the best thing I could do is sum up what happened last time and just kind of go from there. So I'm going to make, of course, a Google document here. There we go. Let's see what we could do about this. We're going to separate it, have it float over here, go like that. There we go. Go like this. All right. Yeah. So we'll have a Google document, and this is where we're going to put notes and reminders to ourselves. We're going to call this Fix Monday Game. Yeah. All right. So Fix Monday Game, the note document. All right. Yikes. Okay. So what happened last week? Why am I getting all worked up over this? Okay. So let's head back over to Fire Island, Fire Village Summit, and we'll kind of just take it from there. Okay. To any of my players who eventually watch this video, I love and respect each and every one of you. If I call you guys a bunch of babies, if I say you guys are spoiled, if I say anything mean or demeaning during this stream, I don't mean it in like a bad way. I'm just trying to quantify something quickly and kind of move on. Anyways, it's nighttime in the world, so it's kind of dark in the volcano. I guess we could lighten that up real quick so we can at least see what's going on here. turn that darkness down a little bit. There we go. All right. So, I tried very hard with this adventure to do yes and, right? I tried very hard to do yes and. So they want to sneak in the back door. I say yes and. They want to try to get across that bridge, and they try silly stuff that could probably have gotten them killed if I was running the game harder. I just yes and, right? I just keep doing that. They get there, they spend, I don't know, 90 minutes of a 3-hour session coming up with a ridiculous plan to get into the king's quarters. I yes and that shit all the way. NPCs are there, they're helping out. They need something, they've got it. Whatever they want, they're coming up with creative ideas, I'm trying to support it. Reset and Philippocles, they go over here, they try to drop down like fucking skydiving dragoon ninjas. I'm for it. Whatever it takes, baby. I'm down for it. They're slowly but surely making their way across. Whatever spells they do, I'm trying to think of the coolest ways that those spells could be distracting people to make sure that they got into this cave. I really wanted them to finally succeed at something that was important to them. And yeah. So I did, right? And they got in there and they were so proud of themselves. Then they had this encounter with the Cyclops. I tried to run it as close to the book as possible, but I did make him super duper strong because I have a bad habit of doing that. Hypatia got off a clutch counterspell, prevented a 9th level spell from blowing everybody up. It was awesome. Then they came up with this great plan of moving furniture and hiding bodies and all that good shit. It was amazing. Then they lay in wait. The king shows up. They ambush the king. They just start murder hobo stabbing him to death over and over and over again. Of course the king has maybe had his stats improved a little bit. I don't know. And so it ends up being a pretty tough fight. In the end, they are successful. They have the queen taken prisoner. The queen is at their mercy. Philippocles, pretends to be super angry. He's going to smash everything because he's trying to live that Hercules fantasy where Hercules would go into a rage and they'd kill his own family because the rage was so bad, blah, blah, blah. So the rest of the party is like, hey, calm it down, bro, calm it down. And it's something that we've been doing for 50-something sessions, so it was like, hey, that's cool, let's do it. So, they talk to the queen. The queen informs them that the Stormlord, aka Sidon, is their number one boo-boo bear. He helped them get strong, but there's some contention because there are these creatures called salamanders that have come in through the volcano and basically hijacked their religion, where they sacrifice things to the Heart of Flame, the spirit that lives inside the volcano, to keep it happy and dormant. You know how it goes when you live on a volcano island. You feed the volcano people so it doesn't explode, right? Sidon told them that was a great idea and they needed to keep doing it. Why? Because the sacrifices actually empower the prison that he used on his sister, who was trapped inside the volcano, and his sister's actually the Heart of Flame. Now, in the raw adventure, that's where everything stops. It's like, cool, this Titan's trapped inside the volcano. Let's not explore that at all. Well, the DM community over at Odyssey of the Dragonlords DM community was like, fuck that, that's too cool, we're gonna do some shit with that. So, Josh Butler wrote an amazing side quest that involves actually dealing with Halcyon, the Titan that is trapped inside the volcano, and maybe even freeing her, and it ties Kyra into it, and all of that is tied heavily into the lore and the history of the world and how gods work and how power works and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, couldn't miss out on that. So I added this extra area that is like a fire temple. Cool. So Halcyon takes over Kyra's body, tells the party, hurry your shit up or I'm going to burn this woman alive. It's an empty threat. She needs Kyra's body because she's going to try to use it to escape. The party's like, cool, but we just got our ass kicked by the king. We need to rest, and then we'll go down to the thing. They convince the queen that not only are they friends, and not only is Sidon a bad dude, but that they will help her maintain control of the village. Well, this is conflicting information because they already told the other lizard folk tribe queen that they would let her take over leadership of the island. So we've got some issues there. Furthermore, in the adventure, the queen is located firmly inside the Shrine of Sidon, where she hangs out with the shamans who worship Sidon, and it's implied that she's heavy duty into Sidon worship. So 320+ social checks did manage to make her rethink the Sidon situation, especially when faced with the strong power of the party, but obviously 3 successful social checks do not undo a lifetime of religious indoctrination. Okay. So then the party is like, we need to get to the Heart of Flame. She's like, I'll help you. I'll take you to the Heart of Flame. Why? Because she thinks that these strong adventurers, who were strong enough to kill her husband, will also kill the fucking salamanders. Right? Because the salamanders want to free the Heart of Flame, because Halcyon's desire for freedom was so strong that it actually reached out to these salamanders through the volcano into the plane of fire and called out to them for help. They came to Thylea to free her from the volcano. That's what they're all about. But Sidon told them if the Heart of Flame ever escapes, or the Heart of Flame is ever not fed, it will erupt and kill everybody. So there we go. Alright, so, here we go. They go down there, they do the thing, cool cutscene happens, they make a deal with Halcyon, everything's cool. They come back into the village, and they're standing here, they're standing right here on this cliff overlooking the lava. Alright, so then, out of nowhere, they're talking about stuff. The queen is going around to everybody and trying to get them to help her take out the salamanders. She listened to the party make deals with the salamanders about freeing the Heart of Flame. She's not okay with this. So she's trying to convince the party, one by one, to go back down there and kill the salamanders. She doesn't want the Heart of Flame to be freed. The party does want the Heart of Flame to be freed. They're making no secret about it. Also, the queen doesn't want them to take away her baby. Baby dragon, that is. The party has made it clear they will take away the baby dragon. There are conflicts building here. The other tribe of lizard folk are monitoring the party's progress and ready to jump in and start like lizard folk civil war if they see they have an opportunity to defeat their enemies, the firewalkers. The pot is getting ready to boil over. All right? That is when Astraeus, whose player is a bit of a loose cannon. I've had him in other games. He's a bit of a loose cannon. He's trying to play this very serious, almost lawful neutral character, and I can tell you from experience, as a guy that plays wildcard, crazy Harlequin-esque characters for fun, it is very hard to play a serious character. It's very hard to play a serious character. And so, Lars, that's his nickname, the player, he runs off at the mouth sometimes. So he said, man, she's so close to the edge of that cliff, I just gotta want to push her into the goddamn lava. Well, I'm like, I mean, she is right there. You could push her into the lava. It's not my job to tell the players no, right? It's my job to be a neutral arbiter of the rules. I'm a neutral arbiter of the rules. I will tell you this, if I was a player and I could kick someone into a fucking volcano, I would probably want to kick them into the fucking volcano. Like, right? So Larionis is like, no, I would never. I could never do that. Now, next to him, literally sharing the same space with him, is Cyrus the New Guy. Okay? Now, Cyrus the New Guy, the player, Stonewolfen, he and I worked together on this character because, his character was compromised by Esther. Lutheria, wants to kind of screw over the party a little bit, remove one of their members. Esther destroys his body, the whole deal, blah, 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 possession. And his only real option, since he was killed in the Esther fight and Esther took over his body, was to keep playing the game as his character possessed by Esther, or to let the character die when they tried to pull Esther out of his body and defeat him. Now, we had considered other options to keep Talus, the character, going, but at that point, he had fallen in love with this idea of a psionically infused, Nyxborn-esque, Titan-blooded monster hunter type character, and he wanted to play this character, and I thought the character concept was pretty cool. It made sense to insert it into the campaign at this point, so I was like, sure. The problem with this Cyrus character is nobody really knows what this dude's about, other than he's a manly man, dude bro, Chad type character. That's kind of the only feel we're getting for him. Coupled with the fact that his player has terrible dice rolls, he has been mostly unimpressive thus far. So he's looking for an opportunity to show everybody how cool he is, right? There is another person in this game who is always looking for an opportunity to show everybody how cool he is. Okay? So this is Bullbug. This is Cyrus. They are both kind of the same. They are both strong dudes with simple goals that want to do cool shit, and they want everyone to see how cool they are. Cyrus sees that the queen is near the edge of the pit. Cyrus has put together that it's going to be problematic because they promised the one lizard queen that she could have access to this place, but now they've promised this lizard queen that she could keep access to this place. And then he wants to save the Titaness, who is trapped in the volcano. He knows that the queen doesn't want to save it. He knows that the party is torn between what to do with the queen. He decides that he's going to be the cop on the edge, the Esther, the edgelord. He is going to kick this bitch into the volcano and solve everybody's problems. Awesome. Here's the thing. As the DM, I didn't want to endorse this kind of behavior. I didn't want to say, you kick her in automatically. She falls into the lava. It's fucking dope. Maybe I should have. I don't know. I tried to remain a neutral arbiter of the rules, so I just said, you know what? She's taken by surprise. She'll have disadvantage on this check. You'll have advantage on this check. And he just couldn't roll those fucking dice. He just couldn't roll those fucking dice. So yeah, it just went from being what could have been a really cool moment into a really embarrassing, drawn out, horrible situation. And then I was like, well, that didn't work, so we're gonna have to roll into initiative because you're in the middle of their fucking village and everybody saw you try to kill the queen, right? So now we've got the queen fighting for her life. She realizes that she's been betrayed by these soft-skinned outsiders, which probably means that everything they said about Sidon was a lie, and they're probably going to take the baby, and they're probably going to wake up the Heart of Flame and blow up the volcano. Yeah. Now here's the other thing. Player who plays the Philippocles, his nickname is Remy. He wanted to keep things less crazy this time around. He really wanted a plan to go from start to finish without screwing up. This is mixed signals for Cyrus because Phil is at the front lines of kicking people into volcanoes, grabbing people, throwing people, doing all kinds of crazy, brash, banana shit. So Cyrus is thinking, well, if I can't do it, Philippocles will come over and finish it up for me. Philippocles is like, whoa, guys, time out. What are we fucking doing? Then Reset and Anastasia decide to do nothing. They actually were like, don't roll us into initiative because we don't want any part of this. And I'm like, cool, but this is Dungeons & Dragons, so you will be rolled into initiative even if I have to roll the dice for you. Now, when the two characters refused to be rolled into initiative, I should have immediately paused the game, we should have ended the stream, and I should have said, why the fuck don't you want to play Dungeons & Dragons anymore? What is so wrong with what is happening here that you have decided to completely shut down and no longer play Dungeons and Dragons. What is happening here? But I wanted to see how it played out, because honestly, one of the things about being the dungeon master, right, is enjoying the story that is created by the players, right? I don't know what these players are going to do. This is an actual play game. None of this shit is scripted. So when a curveball like I kick her into the lava comes along, it's exciting for me. I want to see what happens. I want to see how they react. I want to see how they damage control it. I want to see them react to the curveball they threw at themselves, and I want to see where the story goes. So I was like, let's see what happens. Well, 4 rounds of painful bad dice rolls from everybody. The bad guys and the good guys. It was horrible. Everybody was missing everybody with everything. They were friendly firing each other with AoE spells. It was horrible. It was horrible. And when you play with dice, when you play an unscripted actual play game, right? We've all been there. Like, the dice sometimes just suck. Like, they just suck. I mean, it's a 1 to 20. It could be any fucking number. There's no guarantee that things are going to work out the way you want. That's why when the dice do work out the way you want, it's so amazing, it's so spectacular, because there are times where the dice abandon everyone and everything is just awkward. Just slapping each other with your eyes closed, hoping for the best. That was that fight. It was terrible. So, they're beating up the queen. Reinforcements are coming. Half the party has shut down. Hypatia's player isn't there. She's out sick. And Larionis, he goes and he's like, hey, I'm gonna have Astraeus jump in on this shit. We're a team. We've committed to an action. One of us is all of us. Oath of fellowship. We need to see this shit through. And he also knew that they were going to have a conflict with the 2 different lizard queens, the 2 different lizard folk societies, and so on and so forth. So he jumps in to help Cyrus. Phil starts to help Cyrus, sees that the ladies are doing a silent protest over here, feels bad about helping, then tries to side with the ladies, then sees that things are going terrible for Cyrus and Astraeus, and then realizes that he's been put in a situation where he feels like if he helps Cyrus and Astraeus, the ladies are going to be mad at him, and if he helps the ladies, then Cyrus and Astraeus are going to be mad at him. Right? Like, holy shit. Compounded to all this is the fact that the player of Cyrus and the player of Philippocles have known each other for several years. They've played in other games together, and they always rub each other the wrong way. They have very different personalities at the same time as having very similar personalities, so they're always butting heads. When I invited the 2 of them to play in this campaign, I even said, having both of you in this campaign is a risky decision on my part, because I know that the 2 of you get along to a certain point, and then you don't get along. And I need to know that you guys are going to be able to handle each other. And it just kind of boiled over. Like, there was hard feels left over from the fucking Great Games, which was like 3 months ago, and apparently there was hard feelings from 2 years ago in a previous campaign. Oh my god, right? Well, that's news to me that they're carrying a grudge for 2 years, but both wanted to play in this campaign so badly that they were like, we could bury the hatchet on a multi-year long grudge. What the fuck, guys? This is just Dungeons & Dragons here. Like, we're not having some kind of, like, ongoing family feud. Like, this is ridiculous. So, I want to salvage the actual narrative. So, at that point, I trigger my trump card, my trap card. I guess you don't want to say trump card nowadays. I trigger my trap card, and I'm like, this is my, as a DM, you always got to have your TPK trap card. Like, oh shit, it's going to be a TPK. How are we going to get out of this one? And my trap card for this was the Rejonculus tribe had sent scouts to follow the party and were monitoring the action. And when they saw an opportunity, they were going to signal for the rest of their forces, and then Lizard Folk Civil War was going to break out. So at that point, I was like, wow, well, they're either going to enter into 4 hours of fighting with half the party refusing to play, and then either get killed by lizard folk or just get bogged down in worthless combat, or I've got to come up with, like, I got to pull out that trap card. So Lizard Folk Civil War broke out. I said, during Lizard Folk Civil War, you guys could try to accomplish stuff. Okay? What do you want to try to accomplish? So, Resette's grandma, right? Gifted One's grandma, who, you know, fucked around with Sidon and found out, if you know what I mean, she hates Sidon. She hates Sidon more than anything. So Ghost Grandma is like, yo, Resette, I know that you've been doing absolutely nothing, you worthless little bitch, but you gotta go destroy this Sidon temple because fuck Sidon. So Resette, out of nowhere, is like, yeah, you're right, Grandma, I'm gonna go destroy the Shrine of Sidon. I mean, that seems kind of brash to me. Seems a little bit worse than pushing some lady off of a fucking cliff into a volcano. Like, destroying, like, major god's, like shrine in a world where the god could literally show up and punch you in the face. You've got the cojones to do that, but you don't want to help with this? What the fuck is going on here, right? So then, Philippocles is like, I don't know what to do. And Resette says, help me destroy the shrine to Sidon. And he's like, cool. I'm strong. Let's just do it. So they go and they see the statue. The statue is heavy. There's people inside. They don't want to fight all the people. So they're like, let's push the entire Dragon Shell Shrine into the lava. That would be super dope. I agree. It would be super dope. So that's what the two of them set about doing, is trying to dislodge this stuff. Now, Pythor, who probably should have been killed by the Furies for this, he just shows up and he helps this kid and Resette push this thing into the lava. I don't know. I've been playing it kind of fast and loose with the Oath of Peace anyways, so maybe there'll be a penalty for Pythor coming down the pipe. Maybe not. Who fucking knows at this point? So they push that shit into the volcano, hence the reason that that's crossed out. Hypatia is an NPC because nobody's there to play her, so that's cool. Cyrus and Astraeus, they take the lady prisoner, and the queen. They take her prisoner because in 4 fucking rounds, nobody could land enough hits to actually kill this creature. So they take her over to grab the baby and the egg. I moved the location of the egg from being in possession of the salamanders to being in the possession of their other eggs, just hidden amongst their other eggs. They go in there, they bamboozle themselves the unhatched egg and the baby dragon, who is, by the way, absolutely adorable. And then they all meet out of the volcano and begin heading down the path. Holy shit, right? Right? Holy shit. So, wow. Oh yeah, the reason that they were on autopilot is because Phil did not want to commit to any sort of risky behavior with somebody else's character, which I totally respect. So he basically NPC'd her, which is exactly what I would have done. If she wasn't here and she asked me to NPC her, Hypatia would not have had an opinion on what to do inside the volcano because it was too big of a decision to involve her character directly without her consent. So that's what was going on there. So they make their way down the mountain. They've got their NPCs with them. They've got Lazy Queen with them, who's been taken prisoner. And then they make it to this bridge, and they just fucking flip out on each other. Everyone's blaming Cyrus for everything falling apart. No one will listen to Astraeus pointing out that Cyrus was trying to solve the problem by killing the queen and removing her from the equation. He's an ally. He made an action. We needed to back his play. He and Resette started actually cussing each other out. It was fucking wild. It was fucking wild. Yeah. So, at that point, we ended the session. Wait. Sorry. Last thing. Before the session ended, Pythor, the god of battle, he flipped his fucking shit. And I say he, but I play the NPCs. But I felt like Pythor, the god of battle, who let depression crush him and take him out of the game. He was brought back from like the depths of despair by these heroes. He gave up his throne in Astoria to help them on their journey, to watch them grow as heroes, and he had to watch like 3 of them sit down and do fucking nothing during a battle. The god of battle was pretty upset. So he dropped some pretty heavy-duty Catholic guilt on the players. And then we cut the session. So then for 45 minutes after the session, we talked about what had happened. And honestly, in 45 minutes of talking, it was just a lot of accusations of each other. You're the one that's always reckless. Why should I feel bad about being reckless when you're always reckless? I'm reckless with purpose because I'm smart and a barbarian, and it's my job to be reckless, but I'm never so reckless that it costs the party. And then Astraeus rolls his eyes. That's not true. You constantly cost us all the time with your brash decisions, and we have to live with them. To which they point out Astraeus made a brash decision, and now they all have to go help the queen of Eregia over something that he did without really checking with the rest of the party. Anastasia continued to just basically be shut down because emotionally, when people get really upset around her, her player just shuts down. I've seen it in a number of games where anytime there's inter-party conflict, that player just shuts down. I know people like that in real life that, mom and dad are fighting and they just leave the room. They got to go somewhere else. They can't be around conflict. Reset realized that she had done and goofed and basically spent the 45 minutes trying to justify her actions, but mostly falling flat in the face of facts and emotions and everything else. And then finally, I had to point out that these 2 bros had fucking beef with each other. They had fucking beef with each other, and it was obvious. It was showing in the roleplay. It was showing in the way the players were treating each other. Oh my god. So, we ended the night. And I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to keep going with this campaign. I want to complete the campaign. I got hundreds of hours of prep and hundreds of dollars of resources invested in this. The players, they pay dues for this game. Like, they are literally invested in this game. Not just their time and their energy and their emotions, but their money. I don't want the game to fall apart. I want the game to keep going. So I gave everybody time to calm down and think about it. And then I posted what I felt was a really well-worded, this shit happened. We're gonna move on. I want everybody to think real hard about how this impacts their character and what they would want to do, what they want to do next. And let me see if I can find it real quick. This is what I posted for my players the next day, the morning after, as it were. I said, regarding the March 1st session, we had 56 sessions so far, some 4 or more hours long. That averages out to about 190 hours of gameplay. During all of that time, there have been 3 instances where party cohesion truly fell apart. All 3 of these instances were triggered by quote-unquote brash actions. I don't have the time to go through 190 hours of footage and document every single brash action that has been taken, but I can assure you every party member has taken some. And that is okay. It is okay because this is not a video game with save points. This is not a book with edits. This is a living story that unfolds around your actions and inactions. Brash actions like killing goat babies, nuking potential NPC allies, and making risky plays to try and save the game or the day will happen, and they should happen. Yeah. You have a curveball thrown at you, you react. You yes and. You move the story forward. You do not boycott the game. The new guy is doing something brash and puts the mission at risk. Stop him. Are you concerned that stopping him is PvP? Ask me. I am there to manage the game and the rules. If I were selfishly in support of tossing the queen into the lava, I would have just said, okay, you toss her in the lava. But instead we rolled dice. We got into the initiative. If you felt powerless in that scenario, it is because you refused to act. And to clarify, because I was absolutely insulted by the implications that I flip-flopped the NPC in the narrative to somehow excuse the failed lava toss attempt, the queen had planned to do whatever she needed to retain control over the village and the island. She was willing to part with the egg, the Cyclops Smith, and possibly even the baby. Possibly. You guys rocked some awesome social skills to convince her Sidon was a bad dude, but then began to side with her enemies, the Salamanders, and then tried to kill her. A few good social skills do not undo a lifetime of thinking and belief, and your act of betrayal reversed those social checks. It is a damn shame that the first complex plan you guys managed to pull off turned into a shit show. But in the end, no one died. There was no TPK, and you lived to fight another day. This is the time to sit down as both players and characters and discuss who you are and what you're trying to do. Yeah. So I posted that, and then I waited to see what would happen. Oh, and Hypatia, it was basically like the meme from Community, where Childish Gambino like walks in and he's got like the pizzas, but the whole place is on fire. That was basically like Hypatia coming into this shit. It was yeah. Anyways, so Cyrus posted, Astraeus posted, Reset posted. And they all posted very thoughtful things that were postmortems of the event that talked about, you know, what could have gone right, what was going right, what went wrong, what they were hoping could have happened, what they needed to do to improve. It was incredible. A lot of growth. I was very pleased to see that. That left two other players. Now, Red, who plays Anastasia, again, he just emotionally shuts down when there's conflict. I know that about him. I knew that about him when I offered him a seat in the game. I love Red. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. I couldn't imagine playing this campaign without him. I don't want to say I gave him a pass because he's a sweet little baby with baby feelings. But, you know, I didn't expect him to post anything because he might think that was going to cause some kind of conflict. I let time pass. I reached out to each of the players again. Wow. My advice, Sewer Boy, is start with Matt Colville. Like he's got a really good series about DMing. Some of them are a little long, but you could just listen to the audio. So definitely start with him. He does a really good job of making you feel like you could be a dungeon master. And that's going to be the most important part, is having that confidence. And he will give you that confidence. After you're done learning what he has to say about it, start kind of looking for DMs whose style that you like. And more than likely, they have done like Ask Me Anythings, and they've written blog posts, and they've made videos that explain their own personal DM style. I know that on my channel, I have a bunch of videos on YouTube that talk about prepping and planning and, post-mortem stuff, sort of like this, where we look back at things that went wrong or really right. So those are all things that are going to help you. But your number one thing might be to watch a couple of his early how to DM videos, because that's definitely going to get you excited about DMing, and then you just go from there. Yeah. Matt Colville will give you the confidence to try and be a DM. It is not as complicated as it sounds, but it is, it's not super duper easy. But I think anybody that's willing to try could certainly do it if they give it their best effort. All right. So I follow up with the rest of the players a few days later. I give them like 5 days or so to stew in it, and then I think it was Friday that I reached out to them. And everybody was like, yeah, I'm cool. I think, yeah, I'm cool. I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to try my best. Yeah, it's cool. I'm going to try to move forward. Then I got to Philippicles' player, and he was like, it's not okay. I'm still super upset, and I just don't even know what to do because I'm so upset. And this is where, as a DM, I had to put on the psychiatrist hat. Now, you see a lot of memes about this shit where the DM is like a psychiatrist and a marriage counselor, and a shoulder to cry on, and your local priest and rabbi and all that kind of shit. So he and I talked for a while, and we got to the root of the issue. Ever since Scales of War, he has thought that Stonewolfen has been essentially targeting him, like being like a bully towards him, which is weird, right? Because I was like, I didn't really get that vibe. But as we talked about it, I realized what was happening. This player, right? He's older. He's older than Philippocles' player, and he comes from a generation where the same generation that I'm from. You know, the '80s, right? Where everybody was kind of an asshole to everybody else, and if you liked somebody, you pulled their hair and you called them a fuckface. I obviously have, I hope, emotionally and socially grown out of that behavior, right? Because one, I want to make accessible content for people. Two, my day job requires me to be very, very professional. Three, I've raised kids, and I don't want to raise my kids to be assholes. So I've been trying hard to not be an asshole. But he is part of the asshole generation, the Gen X, borderline Xenial. Right. Nowadays, your best friends in the whole world might call you a fuckface, and you'll laugh about it, right? But not some person that you just play occasionally with online. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. So the thing is this guy, he likes this guy's player a lot. Like he wants to be this guy's friend. And he is playfully ribbing and trying to be competitive, and he's trying to get this guy's attention. And when he's like, I'm gonna kick this lady into the lava, it's not like I want to kick this lady into the lava and fuck up everybody's plans. It's like, I want to kick this lady into lava because, one, it would be super duper cool. Two, it would solve a lot of problems. And three, it's the kind of thing that Philippocles would do. I want to impress this guy. I want to show this guy that I could be strong and brash and decisive just like this guy can be. And when I was saying that to him, I was like, oh my God, there's already someone in the campaign that acts like that. This guy. And when I was like, so Phil, when I do these things, right, to you as Bullbug, does it make you mad? And he's like, no, because Bullbug, he's like everyone's little brother, He wants me to like him, and he thinks that if he's my rival or whatever, then like he's on the same level as me. And I was like, right, okay, keep going with this. And then he's like, oh. And I was like, yeah. This guy, this is not being spiteful. This is a guy who wishes beyond any shadow of doubt that your two characters could stand side by side, back to back, and just kick every motherfucker off of the volcano. Like that's what's happening here. This is never like, I hate you, I want to ruin your plans. This is, I want to be there right next to you, two bros kicking people into volcanoes. And it was like this epiphany. It was like, oh shit, that's what's happening? That's where this grudge has come from? This grudge that has been like building for all these years? And then this guy's player, right? He thinks that Philippocles doesn't like him because he's doing everything he's been taught to quote unquote make friends, right? 1980s kid. You go up to somebody, you're like, yo, fuckface, what's up? And then they're like, hey, eat a shit. And then you're best friends. I'm sorry, but this is really what the 80s were like. If you want to know for sure, you can watch some movies from the time. I recommend Monster Hunters. I think it was, Monster Squad. It'll show you in the first 15 minutes how fucked up 1980s was, okay? We were all sociopaths, all right? So for years, Cyrus thought that Philippocles didn't like him and didn't want to be his friend, and Philippocles thought Cyrus didn't like him and was trying to bully him, when in fact, they both just wanted to hang out. So after we reached this realization, without me asking them to do this, Philippocles contacts Cyrus's player, they talk it out, and they're like, everything's cool, bro. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. So, so we've all talked it out. Yeah, we all talked it out. And we all put our emotions out on the fucking table. Not once, not twice, but 3 times in 1 week did I revisit our feelings to make sure that we were all going to be able to play this fucking game tonight. All right. So, I'm excited to see what happens tonight when we take all of this that we unpacked together over the past week, and I polish my degree in psychiatry that I don't actually have, and yeah, like we're gonna try to make this work. So how do we go about taking everything we've unpacked and make it work without everybody feeling like their business has been put out to the whole world? Which technically, I guess I just put everybody's business out to the whole world during this stream. Yeah. But talking, you're going to see that all the time. When you ask people for advice about DMing, okay? They're going to say shit like, as long as everybody has fun, you're doing a great job. Cool. Yeah, I kind of figured. But what if maybe they're not having fun? What kind of advice do you have for me then? And that's where the advice starts to kind of get a little muddy, right? The water gets a little muddied. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's your group. I don't know what's good with your group, I guess. I mean, as long as everybody's having fun. Yeah, you already said that part. As long as everybody's having fun, I'm doing a great fucking job. Cool. What if they're not having fun? What kind of DM advice do you have for me? My advice is to listen. It's to listen. People message me often and they say, "Do you know your players in real life? Is that why you guys? Is that why you're able to run the NPCs in such a way that they resonate with the players, that the players feel committed to them and connected to them? How are you able to manage the group to make sure that all these different personalities can get along?" I don't know. Like the majority of my players, I do not know them in real life. I've never seen them in real life. I mean, for fuck's sake, Larry Otis lives in Canada, right? Like I don't know these people in real life. Now, what I do know is I know people, right? And so I pay attention and I listen. That is actually probably the best thing that I do as a DM is I pay attention and I listen. And I try constantly to take what I am learning about the players and put it back into the game. It's an area that I feel like I still have a lot of room to grow in as a dungeon master. But it is definitely one of the things that I consider a strength of mine is my empathy with other human beings. It's why I do a pretty damn good job making tutorials. It's why at my day job I run a lot of professional development and it's very, very well received. It is because I am very empathetic to other people. Now, don't get confused. I'm still an asshole. Empathy does not mean that you give a shit about other people. That's sympathy. Sympathy means that you care about the feelings of other people. You know that they have feelings and you feel those feelings also. That's sympathy, right? Empathy is you understand people having feelings and why they have feelings and how they got to those feelings and what triggers those feelings. Empathy is understanding the mechanics of a human being less than caring about the mechanics of a human being. Empathy and sympathy are 2 totally different things. Listening is the foundation of empathy. If you're not paying attention and you're not listening to what your players are doing, you're never going to know. if we were playing in person, I would also add, looking, right, to the list of things along with listening. Because looking is another type of listening when you're in person. If you see people make uncomfortable faces whenever a certain thing happens, they're probably uncomfortable, even if they didn't say so, right? Mm. Okay, so that's my advice: is really learn how to listen and take what you're listening to and use it to manage your players and manage your game. That's gonna be huge. That's my number one advice. Other stuff is like know the fucking rules. That's good. Um, yeah. Those are probably the top two. Listen to your players and know the fucking rules. But the third one is if you do have a problem, do not just walk away from the problem. Do not hope that the problem will go away. Do not bury the problem. Deal with the fucking problem. I knew these guys had beef. I never knew why they had beef. If I had spent more time figuring out why these guys had beef, and I didn't just write it up to, they're really similar but also different, and I guess there's just some people just won't ever get along. Oh well, I'll try my best anyways. Like, I could have taken it deeper. I could have looked harder. I could have found out what the problem was. I didn't, and it came home to roost eventually. I hope that with that out of the way, we have a better sense of where things are going. The other thing, like, I guess here, I'll make a little bullet list so we know what we're dealing with here. Let's see. Okay, fix Monday game. 2-year-old feud. Wow, feud's a hard word. Man, okay. Let's see. Resolved? Question mark? Okay. Emotional shutdown. Addressed. Okay. Player paralysis. That is what happened to Reset. Understood. Was out sick. Hypatia is the best. Okay. Brash action. Just trying to be cool. And then finally, with Astraeus, it was frustration with team. And, talked it out at length. Role-playing opportunities. All right. Now, the other thing I had to ask myself was, a lot of people messaged me and they were like, Crash, don't feel bad. You're doing a great job. Your players, they're crazy. Okay. Now, like, as a crazy person, I mean, it's, I consider it kind of mean to just call people crazy to sort of explain what happened. But, I understand the sentiment behind it, right? They're trying to make me feel better. They're trying to say, don't feel like it's your fault. You tried your best to be a neutral arbiter of the game. Your players just all kind of freaked out at once, blah, 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 blah. Right. So, yeah. But I asked myself afterwards, after I had gotten a few of these messages, which I did appreciate anybody out there that did send me messages to try to cheer me up on this. I said to myself, if they were acting crazy, why? Right? Why were they crazy? Like, why would people accuse my wonderful players of being crazy? Right? So I asked myself, why were they crazy? And a lot of things really kind of fell into place for me. They were upset that their plan failed, right? Why were they upset that their plan failed? Because most of their plans fail. Why do most of their plans fail? Are they bad plans? I mean, they kind of are. But does it matter if the plans are bad? Because we all go to movies and we watch stupid plans happen all the time. We all liked Avengers: Infinity War. That was like an entire stupid plan. That was the whole movie. It was just stupid plans. Right? So they're the main characters. If they come up with a plan, it doesn't matter if the plan's bad. It's their plan. As the DM, I need to work harder to try and make these these bad plans work. Hollywood directors could do it. Writers do it all the time. I should definitely be trying to do it in Dungeons & Dragons. I felt like this time for the Volcano, I really was trying my best to do that, but this was the first time I've really been telling myself, you gotta yes and this thing. You gotta be the number one cheerleader for your players. If they have an idea, it doesn't matter what kind of fucking idea it is. It's their idea. They're the main characters. You're gonna make that fucking idea work. I ran a ninjas one shot, like, I don't know, 17 years ago, maybe, and a buddy of mine who is a hardcore old school DM versus PC's dungeon master. He brought his girlfriend at the time. She played in it with some friends of mine who were local. He was visiting from out of town. We all played, and my friend was so upset because everybody was coming up with the dumbest fucking plans, right? He was picturing this amazing ninja adventure, and everyone was coming up with these really stupid plans. And then when they were forced to roleplay, they weren't roleplaying very well. And then I was like, yes-anding the whole adventure. And he was like, he was so mad. After the adventure was over, everyone had a really good time. He came to me after the session and he said, hey man, I realized tonight that we are very different dungeon masters, but I have so much respect for what you did tonight. Because if my players had come to my table and tried to do some of the dumb shit that happened tonight, I would have just TPK'd them and everyone would have had a terrible time. And a lot of people who had never played D&D before would leave the table hating Dungeons & Dragons. You knew that there was a bunch of new people there. You knew that there was a bunch of young people there. You did everything you could to make their ideas not feel stupid. You did everything you could to move the adventure forward. You made them want to play more Dungeons & Dragons. And he's like, I got mad respect for you. And that stuck with me. I like tough Dungeons & Dragons. As a player and as a DM, I like D&D to be super duper hard. Not everybody likes that. My players, when they signed up for this, they were told that this was going to be a character-driven narrative, and it was going to be epic, and it was going to be kind of critical role-y, right? Where we were going to explore different character arcs, and the characters were like driving the story. While I have done that, I believe, in the last 56 sessions, I have also made some really hard shit. I have also held them to some pretty high standards. You do that to people week after week, they are going to break. Why did they go crazy last week? Because they're always under a lot of pressure. They always want to do a good job. I also want to point out that of all the games I run, this game has the most active viewers and the most people that watch the VODs. And this game gets talked about a lot in the community. These people have an audience. You know what I'm saying? That puts some pressure on you. If you have not played D&D in an actual play stream, I'm going to tell you that you are constantly checking yourself. You know, you are making sure that you don't say something really offensive. You are trying to make sure that you don't do something really, really stupid. You don't want to be Marisha turning into a goldfish. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have a goldfish moment. Right? So yeah, that is because they're under a lot of pressure, right? They're under a lot of pressure. And it's enough pressure to show up every week and do a great job playing Dungeons & Dragons without all this other pressure on top of them. So it occurred to me that part of why they were so upset is they finally had a plan work, and the plan fell apart. And it was very hard for them to feel like I was going to yes and it without it feeling like a handout, right? Because the world that they're a part of is very hard. Okay? So, what I'm trying to move towards is I want to refocus on character driven narrative. Okay? I want to do more roleplay. I want to add fights where the party just wrecks shit. just wreck shit, okay? And then when we do have tough fights, the tough fights matter, right? It's not every fucking thing needs to be really tough. Optional bosses, main story bosses, those are the ones that are going to be Giphy glyphs, monstrosities. They're going to be really, really tough. But they need to be able to just kick the shit out of stuff and feel tough and feel strong. They need to be able to come up with dumb plans and know that those dumb plans will be supported, right? They're here to have fun. They're not here to qualify to join the MIB or the CIA. You know what I'm saying? Um, and that is something that I really had to look hard at myself and look hard in the mirror and be like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, why would they all go crazy, right? Why would they all go crazy? And when I finally did that, right, and I finally did some like postmortem on myself, I was like, I have strayed very far from the session 0 that we discussed, right? I have taken them very far from the session 0 that we discussed, and they are constantly afraid and stressed and in danger. And on top of that, they also know, right, that people are watching them play. And there is that to kind of consider as well. So it's a lot of pressure. Eventually, anybody under pressure like that is going to snap. It's going to flip out. So yeah, having people say, "Oh yeah, your players they were acting crazy," um, that helped. That helped a lot actually, because I had to ask, like, why? And when I saw why, I saw in that reason myself, and I saw that there were ways that I could improve. Just like we talked about all the ways that the players could improve. At no point did any of my players say to me, "Well, you should have done this differently, and you could have done this differently." The worst that I got was, an accusation that I changed the entire narrative to try and make up for this brash action. Which the only narrative I changed was I had the Lizard Folk Civil War breakout, but that was my TPK, trap card anyways, that I was going to pull out as needed. So, um, but yeah, like my players didn't turn around and say, this is your fault, because I don't know, they felt like that wasn't the right thing to do, or they never thought that maybe it was my fault, or they thought it would be childish to say that. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't say it, but I am a player at the table as well, and I couldn't let something like this go without looking at my own involvement in this, right? So a lot of growth off of this session. A lot of growth, professionally, a lot of growth emotionally, and I hope a lot of growth for the campaign. Right. Yeah. So here's the thing that came up to Dufam. You're like, I think this is a problem that is commonly found in like stranger in a group together. For sure. One of the biggest challenges of running online paid game is that I don't necessarily know the people who are applying for the game. That is why for Mythic, every person that applied for Mythic, I ran a free one-shot adventure for them so that I could see them in action, and I could envision how that particular player and that player style would mesh with the other players that were also applying for the game, and try to assemble a group of like-minded individuals who would all kind of benefit from a certain style of play and build off of each other. But a lot of online games, it's a paid DM, and they're trying to fill a seat because a seat means that they get paid. So they just try to put whoever comes along into the seat and just make it work. It is very stressful. I've been there as a DM. When I first started paid DMing, I was doing it because, my wife had lost her job. She was, she was injured. We only had the one income coming in. I didn't want to deliver pizzas as a part-time job, so I thought that doing a paid DM thing would bring in a little bit of extra money. I needed the money, so I was just like, anybody that applies to the game, I will just try my best to put them in there and make it work. Nowadays, I don't have to run games at all. I just continue to run paid games because I enjoy doing it and because I put a lot of work into the game and I like being compensated for my work. And I also find that players who are literally invested in a game are often more invested in a game. So it's been a very positive experience overall for me. Here's the thing. All the problems that happened last week are problems that happen in real groups, real life groups, in-person groups. They are problems that happen in friend groups. I've been in groups where people started dating each other and then they broke up. I've been in groups where people were married and then they got divorced. And if that doesn't end a campaign, whew, let me tell you, it does. It does end a campaign. I have been in groups where person A did something outside of the game to person B. They're mad about it and they can't get along. I've had groups that people found out that the other person had different religious beliefs, different political beliefs, and it fell apart. People who have been friends forever get in a fight and the fight boils over into D&D. Uh, it's not an online thing versus an in-person thing. It's not a strangers thing versus a friend group thing per se. But it is a human being thing. The human being part, right? That's what is Dungeons and Dragons. That's what makes it Dungeons and Dragons. Otherwise, it's just a video game. If you don't have other human beings impacting the game constantly, it's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's just a video game. It's just a choose your own adventure book. Yeah. I don't think I could personally handle a paid game because I really need to know my players to know how much I could do. But I see your point. That's not a problem. Yeah. And that's why I think I've been relatively successful as a paid DM is going back to the whole like listening thing. I make it a point to learn as much about my players as possible, especially if they're strangers. So that I can very quickly begin to treat them like a person that I've known a long time. Fortunately for me, I was a military kid growing up. I moved constantly. I lived all over the world and all over America. I had to make friends every time I moved. We didn't have the internet to stay connected with people. And so I think that my empathy, my listening skill and my empathy is a survival skill for being a military kid. It's very much like I have to learn like how to fit in with this new group of people as quickly as possible. I have to understand who these people are so that I can make friends with them quickly. These people have known each other since kindergarten. I'm coming in like 8th grade. I don't want to be an outsider. I want to be included. There's inside jokes. I don't get them. I still write them down in my brain for later so that maybe I could understand what the fuck that inside joke was about. But I don't make a big deal about being excluded from the inside joke because that casts me as an outsider. I just listen, evolve, until suddenly I might as well have gone to kindergarten with these people, right? And I use that same skill as a DM, especially a DM online with strangers. I try to very quickly assess the player and the personality and figure out the best way to interact with them. So, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I forget sometimes, so I usually send them in bulk payments. But I pay for Rime of the Frostmaiden. Dom is a new dungeon master. And yet, I compensate him. I compensate him for every session because he puts a lot of money and time into it. Dom is also a hotshot architect that doesn't need any fucking money from people, and I still give him money for the game because I know that he pays money for those maps. I know that he invests hundreds of hours into prepping our campaign, and his time has value, and I want him to know that I acknowledge that his time has value. So that's my stance on that. So yeah, exactly. Even if your DM is redonkulously rich, you should be doing things for your DM. you should be like, hey man, I know you love painting minis, so I picked you up some new minis from the miniature line, because I know that you didn't have enough lizard folk last time when we had lizard folk, so I got you some more lizard folk miniatures for next time. Like, these are things that you could do without just PayPaling your DM money. You know what I'm saying? You know your DM's got a favorite brand of chips, man. Bring him those fucking bring them those chips every week. Like, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of work that goes into doing this. Yeah. So, anyways, what are we going to do now that we have assessed the players and ourselves, and we've talked about it, and we've put everything out on the table? What we're going to do now is make a plan of attack. All right? So, all right. We're going to do, at the beginning of the session, the recap. All right? This recap will not cast any one person into a position of guilt. Period. It will be a neutral, fair assessment of everything that has happened. All right? And then, to lighten the mood, joke, and we will joke that Hypatia is the best player by default. All right. So, it's always important to have a small amount of humor to, like, kind of lighten the mood, but you don't want to have too much humor or people will never know when you're being serious. So, that's also something that took me a long time to learn, because I used to be like constant comedian all the time. And a boss at one of my 30 jobs that I've worked in my life took me aside and was like, yeah, you're a real funny guy. But you ever thought about the fact that, like, you're just a funny guy? And I was like, no, but I feel like what you're about to tell me is going to change my life. And he's like, if you're always joking around, how do people know that you're not joking around? And it just hit me like a truck. I was just like, oh shit. And I thought about all the times where there's been misunderstandings and whatnot in my life, and it's because I never stopped joking around. There is a guy in my games, Ori, who is also Nox Genesis, who is also Sibo, who is also Sarek in the Wednesday game. I've had that talk with him, you know, like, he always jokes around, and then he gets into situations where people are mad at him, and he doesn't know why they're mad at him, because, you know, because he was like, I was trying to be serious. And it's like, but nobody knows if you're being serious, man, because you're always joking around. And I think he's been trying to rein that in, but it is a hard thing to do. It is a hard thing to do. All right. So we have our recap, and then we're going to continue from the bridge. Okay. We're going to have the NPCs will weigh in on what has happened. Okay. And this is where I split my personality into a million pieces. So Pythor has already said his piece. Okay. The dwarves, they don't really know what to say, but they will say, what about all the riches and the ore, right? Are we just walking away from all that? Okay. Bullbug's not actually here. I'm just keeping him here spiritually as, like, my, you know, my emotional support minotaur. So my emotional support minotaur. Graxus, who in this game is also Xander, is going to drop some real truth on him. It's going to drop some real truth on him. Graxus is going to say, pretty much, you know, what happened back there was a brash plan, big risk, and big reward. But your ally here dropped his spear. Not literally, but it amounts to the same. This man took a risk in the moment, and he failed. That... Oh, nope. That is when you need your allies the most. That is when your spear comes into play. Or your hand to stay the spear. His failure is all of our failures. When one of our number fails, falls, or stumbles, we must all be there to take their place or lift them up or right their wrong. Good shit, Graxus. In your tough Minotaur voice, that's going to be some good shit. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. If anybody has anything to say about it, about party splintering, it's Xander. Maybe trying to introduce an NPC that do cool stuff for them, possibly maybe the Cyclops Smith for those clockwork animals. Yes. So that's going to be covered as well. So the NPCs are going to chime in. And then finally, after Xander, Kyra's going to jump in there with some info. She's been relatively quiet because of the ordeal on the mountain. So let's see. Kyra's going to jump in with... I'm sorry if I was a liability back there. I wanted to help, but my presence here only hindered. Not hindered. There you go. If we plan to save Halcyon, we will have to return to this place. I would rather we returned to a place welcoming and allied than a place torn by war and conflict. Our memory, the agitator that brought it all about. Period. All right, good shit. All right, so let's see. Then the players need to talk about it. So players talk about it. Okay. Hopefully, the players return to the village and help sort things out. All right. And then we've got, let's see. Let's just make everything title. There we go. We have potential curveballs that we have to identify. So let me bring that up to the top here. All right. So potential curveballs that they're going to need to deal with is, let's see. What's the buttons here? Control Shift 8. There we go. 2 queens. 1 island. Okay. Lizards versus salamanders. Okay. Firewalker Faith versus freeing Halcyon. Okay. Let's see. The Geigen Smith. Okay. Did he escape? Or is he still there? Okay. And then we also have to deal with Dragon Egg corruption. Baby Dragon issues. And reset issues. Regarding Egg and Dragonlords order. Astraeus and Grandma. And finally, the last thing that they need to address here is Geigen Smith, Queens, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Resources, question mark. What can Island provide? Allies. All right. And then, God, man, is there anything else that they need to handle at this fucking place? Pythor, Kyra. Oh, Kyra powered back up by Halcyon, question mark? Okay. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Okay. So, yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot that we're gonna have to address when we hop into this session. Oh, that's the last thing we need to do. We need to talk about Cyrus. Who the fuck or what the fuck are you? Question mark. Now, regarding Cyrus, Cyrus took the Dragon Slayer epic path because it hadn't been taken by anyone else, because it's terrible. And also, it's a good path for a player to take mid to late game in this campaign, because it honestly has fucking nothing in the first 4 chapters of the game. There's nothing. There's nothing for it. Honestly, there's not much for it in the whole game. It's pretty bad. So I went to the place I always go to when shit don't work out with this campaign, the Odyssey of the Dragonlords Discord server. Let me throw the invite up real quick. Here we go. The Discord, yep. And I was like, yo, Dragon Slayer sucks. And people were like, it is known. It is known. And I was like, honestly, it's like a discount version of the demigod. Like, the demigod has to go fight a dragon on this island, and then next door neighbors, the Dragon Slayer has to go fight this dragon. And that's it. That's it. I was like, this seems really bad to me. It seems really bad. So we got to talking, and we talked about the fact that everything is, pretty much the same between the two classes, except Dragon Slayer is sort of a worse version, but gets a cooler dragon. So what we came up with was, what if the Dragon Slayer was not a Dragon Slayer, but just a Slayer in general? So we changed the path. Instead of being Dragon Slayer, it's just Slayer. And the description is, you are drawn to creatures born of the Nyx, Lutheria's greatest nightmares. To kill one calms your emotions and fills you with strength for a time. There is one beast you seek more than all the rest, though not because you are drawn to it. Instead, because it wronged you. The dragon of golden flames who took everything you love and left only ashes behind. So, working with the community and also with my brilliant daughter, we came upon this idea. Lutheria was told by the Fates that all of her plans, all of her great schemes, would come to ruin as a result of one of her monstrosities. So Lutheria, in class, this is like the ultimate setup for a Greek myth. You know what I'm saying? The Fates tell you something, and so to stop the Fates from being right, you fuck yourself over. So to stop this prophecy from coming true, Lutheria makes a man. She made Cyrus. And she made Cyrus with the purpose of going about the world and wiping out all of her monsters. So, for example, he would have, if he had been around, benefited from killing the Cerberus in the mines, the Hydra at Themis, the ancient Scorpion that I added to Scorpion Island, and so on and so forth. He is drawn to these monsters that she has made, the Chimera Queen, the Manticore King, just to throw some more examples out there. So he, instead of getting like a bunch of magic items like the other epic paths, he gets boons related to the monsters that he kills, similar to like a blue mage from Final Fantasy universe. So yeah, it's a pretty cool idea. So the idea is that he goes around killing all these monsters. He wants to kill Helios simply because Helios fucked him over. But for the most part, he is going to go around killing all of her monsters. But what Lutheria doesn't understand is just because he is a man, and just because he is painfully handsome, and just because he has your Titan blood running through his veins, that doesn't mean that he is not a monster. So ultimately, Cyrus will play a part in Lutheria's downfall. And it's very easy because if he saves anybody's life, if he does anything, you just butterfly effect, be like, well, I guess if Cyrus hadn't been there, you would have succeeded. So, like all Greek prophecy myth, it's easily self-fulfilling. So that's what we're doing with Cyrus, is when he kills stuff, he gets benefits from them, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that whole thing. Now the party, all they know is that this random guy shows up. Versi says he's cool. Nobody really likes Versi that much anyways, but they trusted her to watch their baby dragon, question mark. But if Versi says it's okay, then I guess it's okay. But there is that disconnect of trying to add a new player character to a well-established group. And not only that, but the dude is Titan-blooded, and the main bad guys are Titans, so there is going to be some distrust there. So they may have to, here at the edge of this cliff, which I hope no one gets kicked off of tonight, on this stony Dragonbone bridge, they're going to have to kind of like put that shit out there. Like, who are you? Why are you here? Why do you seek, why do you want to travel with us? What are you after? Tell us now. Because we need to know you. We need to know you to trust you. And we need to trust you to back you when you do something like that. That's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. All right. So we spent 90 minutes talking about all the things that went wrong and all the things that went right. Yeah, exactly. I'll just put her right next to this cliff. Here we go. And then, yeah, we'll start the session right like this. Yeah. Anyways, what we'll do is we'll hash it out. We'll try to make it, we have to figure out what is the ideal path forward. How can we tell a narrative that takes the threads that Cyrus is bringing and it weaves it into the tapestry that is already being created? How can we all continue to tell a story moving forward? And I don't want to tell them this, but we are going to lose one of the players. One of the players, something's going on with their work in the coming months, and they will have to drop from the campaign. So we're either gonna lose a person altogether, or lose a person and have to replace them. And so we will have to do all of the shit we're doing with Cyrus all over again. And so we really need to make sure that it's something that we could handle. Because if we do have to replace someone, and when we do lose someone, we need to make sure that everybody's got the emotional maturity to handle that. So this is going to be so much important stuff's going to happen tonight's game. I'm still a little stressed about it. I want things to go well. We'll see how it goes. So, all right. Thank you everybody for hanging out. I spent the day being sick and the afternoon trying to fix some updates or issues that stemmed from running updates because yet again MIDI quality of life and better rules for 5e were fighting with each other and breaking everything, so I had to get all that working again. So I didn't have a chance to grab anything to eat before the stream or do my workout, so I'm going to go try to get workout in and some food, and then be ready to run the game at 9 o'clock. All right. So maybe I'll see you at 9 o'clock when the game is live. Otherwise, the VOD for the game will go up on Wednesday. Hopefully, this will not be the last session of the campaign, because I'd really like to keep running it. And, yeah. Tomorrow night, we're going to be working on world building for the Gothic Horror campaign. Very excited about that. We're going to be tackling the Lycans and the Batkin and maybe the Dampier if we have time. Wednesday, we're going to be doing Paradise Vale Kingdom building, refining the rules for that. Thursday, we're going to be prepping more Cloud Kingdom for Skull and Shackles. And Friday, we're going to be doing maps again. So a big, fun week full of stuff coming up. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out and listening and providing support and ideas. And I will see you next time.